What's up, guys? Spin Firearms here, and if you know me, if you know this channel, I am big into subcompacts. The Glock 26 and 27 being some of my favorite firearms of all time, and these two also being some of my favorite firearms. Now, we're going to break it down. Springfield Armory XD Subcompact 3-inch barrel, chambered in 9mm, versus the Smith & Wesson M&P9 2.0, also in 9mm. Now, before we get started, hit the like button, drop a comment down below, and subscribe. But before we get started, I just want to say, just because it's made in Croatia and made by HS Product doesn't mean anything. This is one of the firearms I recommend everyone for a first carry option. It's very small this way, very easy to conceal. Yes, it's a little thicker, but the XD handles recoil like an absolute beast. That slide is so heavy, thick, but if you run it with light defensive rounds, I mean, you're going to have a beast of a setup. Now, this was like my second or third firearm I ever bought. I carried this for a while. This is over 10,000 rounds, not a single hiccup. Not a single issue. Not an issue with the grip safety or anything. Just a good running firearm. I think you can get XDS or XD9s right now, subcompacts, for like $400. It eats everything, spits everything out. Now, the trigger is really good on it. I actually like the trigger on it. It does come with a rail, unlike the Glock 26. Doesn't have forward serrations, but it has good rear serrations. Decent 3-dot sights, nothing special. Does have a striker indicator to let you know that it's ready to go. Loaded chamber indicator to let you know there's a round in the chamber, but you should always have a round in the chamber, so you should already know that, and always treat your handgun like it's loaded. Texturing could be a little better, but they do have the texturing on the front and the back where you really need it. Overall ergonomics are good. It looks sort of weird. This grip looks weird, but it actually fills the hand pretty well. I just tuck my pinky underneath, and then when it's time for a mag change, pinky out. It's that simple with subcompacts. But what I do like about it as well is, for winter, or when you don't have to worry about concealing as much, you can throw a 16-round mag in there. And something Springfield Armory does so well is they make great magazines, and that's huge when it comes to reliability. They make awesome stainless steel mags that aren't going to break the bank. They're not $60, $70. They're not $50. They're like $40, $35, $30. And that's huge for buying extra mags for the range and training and so on. So I just love that about that. This is a super underrated firearm. I like it better than the Mod 2. Nothing wrong with the Mod 2, but I do like the original better. It's just such a smooth shooter, such a flat shooter, and I think it's a great way to go for people entering the concealed carry market because they can really get used to a smaller firearm that handles recoil really, really well. Now, like I said, this is 13+1 with the flush mag. It is a beefier firearm. You notice how it even gets wider right here? Like I said, though, the extra mass helps with the weight, which helps reduce recoil and muzzle flip. And actually, out of all my firearms I own, right, I own a ton of handguns. This is my best shooting one-handed, my best shooting off-handed. It's just a smooth shooter. And shooting one-handed and off-handed is very important to train. I know we all want to get comfortable and just sit here like this at the range, but something you need to train is putting that hand on the chest like you just drew, like you lifted your shirt up and pull on that and have that holster exposed, and just shoot one-handed. It's just a good way to train. Trust me, don't be scared of the recoil or anything like that. It'll be fine. But yeah, this thing is a beast to shoot. But like I said, the safety on this is that trigger safety, so drop safety, and then the grip safety. I believe there's a kit where you can get this pinned in there if you're worried about that failing you. But once again, I have a bunch of Springfields that have this grip safety. It's never caused me any issues or anything like that. Next up is the Smith & Wesson M&P9 2.0 Subcompact. We'll compare sizes after this. This is a 12+1 setup. And with this, you do get about 3-finger contact. I also carry with the flush mag. But in this case, this is the 12-round mag with the extension. You can get, 2.5 fingers on there, a good purchase on that firearm. Now, this is a thick boy as well, as you can tell. Look at that slide. 3-dot sights that are really good, really easy to shoot with. A rail, a little bit of forward serrations, not much though. You don't really need forward serrations, but I know a lot of people like them. The one thing I would say I don't like about this is I did get it with the safety because it was like $50 cheaper, but it is a very loose safety. And what I mean by loose is it's not like on the Shield Plus, the Shield, where it's hidden, tucked away, and it's stiff. This thing will turn on if you barely nick it. So if you have a high grip, I don't recommend getting it with the safety. I've never had an issue with it engaging itself, or me accidentally knocking it, but just beware of that. Like I said, oh yeah, something I want to touch on is the finish on this. This has been beat up. I have beat the crap out of this firearm. I've carried it a lot. It has a lot of holster time, a lot of range time, and it holds up really well. I mean, the finish doesn't look the prettiest, but at the end of the day, this is a tool. All we need our tools to do are run, work reliably, and for us to be invested in them and truly like them. And I love the XD, and I love when my firearms get some wear, because it goes to show the amount of time you practice with them and carry with them. Now, I love the texturing on it. I don't think it's too aggressive. I think it's spot on and perfect. That's really going to help if it's a hot, humid day and you're out there with your firearm training and shooting. It's really going to help with that. Also, they give you multiple back straps. I think I have the medium one on there. It feels really good in the hand. Just sits right in your palm swell perfectly. The grip angle is going to be a little different than Glock, but very natural for when it's pointing, lining up your sights. The finish on Smith & Wessons is, second to none. They're up there with the Glocks and the CZs, and you're going to have no rust issues. It's going to scrape up. That's what carry firearms are for, but it's not going to get to the point where it rusts or it gets too beat up. It does have the hinge trigger on it, which I like the trigger on the XD9 better. It's a good fast trigger, but at the same time, what I have noticed is if you get a little too high on that trigger, with the hinge trigger design, it does prevent that next round from going off. So you want to stay low on these triggers. You want to stay real low. You don't want to stay up here because, see, it hits. You want to stay low. But anyways, two great firearm options. Oh yeah, and handling recoil. It doesn't handle recoil as well as the XD9, but it's still up there. It has less recoil than Glock 26 and other subcompacts in its class. But overall, they're very comparable when it comes to size, weight, stuff like that. But yeah, there's 12 plus 1 on the right, 13 plus 1 on the left. The slide on the XD is thicker. The barrel is also shorter by ½ an inch. But that thickness really helps with recoil. Here's the overall footprint. Very similar in footprint. Now, both of these are going to be a little heavier. This is lighter than the XD9. Like I said, all that slide and barrel mass. But overall, two amazing, reliable handguns. You can get these both under $450. They're going to run. They're going to last. They're going to take a beating. They're going to be there for you when you need them. And these are two firearms. Something that's very important that a lot of people don't point out is the enjoyment shooting it. What is your reaction when you shoot these? When I shoot my XD one-handed, I feel pure joy because I can see how good I'm shooting with one hand, and it makes me feel really good. On top of that, the joy I get from this, it's fast, it's a smooth shooter, and the fact that it's a subcompact, it's right up my alley. Now, that slide and barrel's a little longer than a Glock 26, or the barrel's about the same size, but the slide is longer. It has more in the back, but like I said, recoil. Think of a heavier firearm as less recoil in most circumstances. But these two firearms, can't go wrong with. I'm never selling this XD. I carried this for a long time. This is one of those firearms that's just really well made. But this is also made in America, so you got to support our American-made firearms. Smith & Wesson, keep up the work. They're releasing great firearms, different calibers, different types of firearms, different sizes, and that's what we want. We want variety, we want choices, we want options. So shout out to Smith & Wesson. Also, shout out to Springfield Armory and HS Product. They make a great, great firearm. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching.